remind me of your name so I can introduce you at the
You don't
beginning.
need to introduce me.
But I can.
You don't need to. I'm just here to do a job.
I just say that we have
We're gonna see you. They don't
Okay,
have to know who I am.
I won't.
I'm okay with it.
All right.
I don't need
Hi,
to
Mike.
Here.
Yeah.
So whenever you want to get started.
Yeah,
It's about 6:34
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
So,
I was sort of waiting for
yeah,
a few people to come in.
in, but I think the vast majority are
Okay.
here. And
So-
do you want me to sit up here or can I sit
No,
down there?
sit down.
All right, that's fine.
Good evening. I think we'll get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all of you who are here in person tonight, to the presenters, to the island residents, and to our many friends on Facebook Live. Thank you for being here. This is a very important meeting, and we're thrilled to have you here. It's been a terribly difficult 2 months, as we all know. So much of Pine Island and Matlacha have been devastated. Some of us have been hit especially hard. The mobile home and manufactured home communities on the islands, the waterfront homes, the canal homes, the RV parks, and just about anyone with a roof that didn't hold. Residents have lost trucks, boats, cars, all their household effects, treasured photographs and family mementos, farm animals, and pets. Tragically, some of us have also lost our friends, our neighbors, even our beloved family members. For many of us, just seeing the devastation, living with it, and hearing about the losses of friends has been traumatic. But at the same time, it's been amazing to see islanders springing into action, even when their own homes and businesses were heavily damaged by the storm. Our island churches, our small businesses, the fire department, the water company, which got us running water and then drinking water in record time, the road rebuilders, the volunteers coming from out of state, the boat captains, the medics, the mental health providers, the electric companies who rolled in as soon as the road was passable, the waste disposal workers, the internet providers restoring service, all have been doing their best to bring us back to a semblance of normal. We're especially proud of our island organizations that have always helped people in need and who are now working overtime. The Moose, the VFW, the food pantries, the American Legion, the Beacon of Hope, the Matlacha Hookers, and many, many others have offered help, mucking out, tearing out drywall, supplying people with clean clothes, tools, cleaning implements, not to mention hot food, showers, bathrooms, laundry, and ice. We've had benefit concerts, free Thanksgiving dinners, and GoFundMe pages. But there's still so much more to do. There are still people living in unsafe and unsanitary conditions as they try to repair what's left of their homes. There are still residents without transportation who remain isolated on the back roads of the island. There are elderly people who need to get to medical appointments. There are people out of work. There are people whose entire businesses have been destroyed, and we want to help them all. But with so many organizations helping, there has been some duplication of effort. There are energetic, able-bodied people out there who want to volunteer, but may not know where their skills could best be used. And of course, every day we hear of people who need help but don't know where to turn. All these efforts need to be organized. And to do that, a number of organizations have gotten together at weekly meetings at the Beacon of Hope and formed a group called Pine Island Cares. At the first meeting, the GPICA asked the organizations present if they would speak briefly at our meeting tonight about what they have been doing to help and to give us their perceptions of the unmet needs of islanders, as well as their take on the needs of the island in general. After their short presentations, we will hear from some of the people from FEMA who are here, and as well as the Small Business Administration and others. But after that, we especially want to hear from you, the audience, about what you think the island needs right now and what should be done about it. So if we could have the agenda put up on the screen. There we go. So to recap, how am I going to do this? Here's the agenda. Okay, it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so I do want to say that as with at all GPICA meetings, there's the opportunity to either renew your membership if you were a member before, or become a new member if you want to. But as always, everybody is welcome all the time at GPICA meetings. You don't need to be a member. Let's turn to the minutes very quickly of the last 2 months. In October, we were supposed to have a meeting at the very beginning of October, but as you know, we had a storm here. And after the storm, the GPICA saw our role as getting accurate information out to islanders. So instead of our regular October meeting, which we couldn't hold anyway since the Elks building was badly damaged, the road through Matlacha was out, the electricity on the island was still spotty, we called a Zoom meeting. This was mainly attended by people who had sheltered off-island, as well as people who had not yet returned for the winter season. Its purpose was to discuss the latest information that we had about what was happening on the island, who was helping, who was giving free supplies, etc., and to facilitate islanders' sharing of stories and advice among themselves. Over 100 people attended that Zoom session. However, we didn't take minutes or record that session because we felt that people could be sharing personal information or sensitive information. As for the September minutes, in our invitation to this week that we sent out to many of you, we asked you to look the minutes over. So to save time, I'm not going to go over those minutes. I'm just going to ask for a motion to approve the September minutes. Thank you. Is there a second? Mike is the second. Is there any discussion or questions about this? All right, all in favor of approving the September minutes, just raise your hand. Anybody opposed? Thank you. All right, we now have a brief treasurer's report. If we could put that up on the screen. And Mike Sweeney, our treasurer, can come on up to the mic, Mike.
Treasurer's report. So in the money market, we have $16,762.83. The checking, $6,874.47, and the CD investment, the CD that we've had, $76,370.83. The CD is going to roll over again in mid-April, and we're currently receiving an interest rate of 0.75%. Money in October, we got $86.17. That was in membership dues, and there was no money spent in October, so that's it. So can I get a motion to approve? Sherry, thank you. And a second.
Second.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor? Raise your hand if you're a member. Thank you. Anyone opposed? All right. Thanks very much. Okay, so now we'll start our program. And to do this, we're going to have a representative from each of about 6 island organizations come up to the mic and tell you, first of all, what they've been doing, and then how they perceive the needs of the island right now from their perspective. So the first person, I'm going to call Julia Gaylor from the Matlacha Hookers.
Hi there today. My name is Julia. I'm with the Matlacha Hookers. We have been doing a lot of stuff. We've been organizing with a lot of different groups and organizations on the island, independent volunteers that have come from all over the place. And right now we're focusing on 3 areas, well, 2 areas kind of. So rebuilding supplies, we've now partnered with American Legion, who we will be working together on purchasing building supplies, plywood, drywall, drywall screws. We've talked about mold mitigation cleaning products, totes, electrical outlets, and various other items that we are hoping to partner with Ace Hardware here locally on the island to bring out to the island. Our goal would be weekly. So that's one of the things that we're working on. The other thing we have going, we have been paying for honey wagon services. If you're not familiar with that, which I did not know that that's what the name of it was, it is what pumps out the black water from the RVs that are here now on the island. So we're providing that as well. You must be a Pine Island resident and be living in your RV because your home was damaged by Hurricane Ian. That is through company Doppers we've been going through, and you can call them directly and set up that service with them. We have also just now have released that we will be providing free transportation services on the island. We're working with a taxi service in Cape Coral who will start this Thursday at 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have determined stops in St. James and in Bokeelia where the taxi service will be picking residents up. Also must be a resident of Pine Island and show your proof of ID. They will be picked up at the various stops and be taken to the public areas, the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center, the FEMA tent, the public library, Ace Hardware, Publix, the gas stations, couple areas there, the doctor's office, such like that. So right now what we'll have residents do is call the taxi service, let them know they're hooking a ride, and coordinate a time in which they can be picked up at one of the predetermined spots. We've also worked with all of the Pine Island Cares group to create a resource guide. Basically, we just asked everybody, what are you guys doing? And collected information from the county and public websites, just like everybody else can do, and created a resource guide along with a website to go along with that. It's completely free. It's not geared towards any one person or any one organization. We want everybody to know Pine Island Cares. It's not about each individual organization. It's about people helping each other. And what do I see as a need? There's so many. I can't even answer that question. We have a problem because our renters don't have a place to go if their house was damaged. It's been very trying on finding and placing displaced residents in homes and, hearing about stories where there's still people living in tents or on their back porch or in dilapidated homes and RVs, and it's not acceptable. So we definitely think that's a huge need for the island, and communication. At the very beginning, we all know that the only way we could get any information out is by chance in a group text or through social media. And one of the other things with the resource guide we have put together is a push notification system. So in the event, if you sign up for it, you're obviously agreeing to get notifications from the organizations, but when we're doing building supplies at the fire station, it would alert that person to let them know when that pickup would be. If one of the other organizations wants to let them know about an event that they have for the public that's helping the residents, we can push that out to them as well. Thank you guys for your time, and thank you for being here. Sorry, I was asked to tell you what the website is. It is, oh gosh, what is it called? Greater Pine Island Resource, I don't know. GreaterPineIslandResourceGuide.com.
That ought to be easy to remember. Greater Pine Island Resource Guide.com. All right, now we have the United Cajun Navy in partnership with American Legion 136, Aaron Beretta.
Hi, my name is Aaron Beretta. I'm the commander currently of the American Legion. I represent that, as well as the Greater Pine Island Alliance, which represents long-term recovery for the island in conjunction with a lot of the VOEDs and a lot of great people in this room. So just a couple things I'll go over. For the American Legion, we have transitioned. We still do have lunch, but I know we're doing free lunches all the way up through and dinners through December 1st. We did transition. It is now paid for, but the patio and area is still available for residents who need to come and receive food. We just had to slightly transition our model, but you can still get lunch there. You can still get meals if you need them, and you're down in the St. James area or anywhere on the island and want to come in. The other two big things we have going on right now is in conjunction with the Greater Pine Island Alliance, the Beacon of Hope has representatives at the American Legion for those who can't make it all the way up to City Center. And from there, they're helping people sign up for the Florida website, which is inrecovery.fl.gov/unite. And through this, we have actually seen a travel trailer arrive for transitional housing on Pine Island. So representatives will be, yep, finally, one. But so the Beacon of Hope representatives will be at the American Legion to help people sign up, as well as you can still sign up at the Beacon of Hope. Working with them, I think their plans are to go up to Bokeelia as well and have sign-up spots to go through the state website. In addition to that, working with the Greater Pine Island Alliance, a couple notes to put out. This weekend, just got notified from Lee County that there will be SNAP, which is the Florida Food Assistance Program, out of the Lee County Civic Center. They have not published the route, but they assure me they will have 6 stops on Pine Island this weekend to get people from Pine Island up to the Lee County Civic Center to sign up for SNAP. And that's food assistance from the disaster for those who need it. So as soon as that's out, I will work with all the other volunteer organizations, the Hookers, the Beacon of Hope, the churches, and we will flood as much as we can about how to get access to that ride as soon as that comes out. Also in conversations, I know today there was some talk amongst groups about the comfort stations on Pine Island, the laundry trailers, the shower trailers. In talking with Lee County today, they want to assure you right now they're not going anywhere. One was moved, and that was the one at the Bokeelia post office. So that was moved, and temporarily one accidentally left the church, but that was not the plan. It's been put back at the community church. However, in the coming weeks, they do want to engage the community, and Greater Pine Island Alliance will work with them and all the volunteer organizations. The reality is at some point they're going to draw us down a little bit from about the 5 or 6 that we have right now to a smaller number. So work with your volunteer groups to provide feedback as to where we think those need to be. So whether, like I said, that's the Hookers, the Beacon of Hope, your church, your VFW, talk to the community leaders so that we can then talk to Lee County as to a potential plan to draw some of this down. But very happy to work with all of you and all the great organizations and people of Pine Island, and just happy to look forward to our rebuilding and rising above the surge.
another Cajun Navy called the Cajun Navy Ground Force. And we have Sarah, I believe we have Sarah Mann, who maybe will tell us about the difference between the two Cajun Navies, because it's something I always wondered about.
Hi, everybody. Both the Cajun Navies are really cool, and that's the difference. I guess that's not really a difference, is it? Anyway, hi. I'm with Cajun Navy Ground Force. I'm one of the nurses on the island who was up in Bokeelia with the medical tent up there. Cajun Navy Ground Force has had AmeriCorps join with us, and we have gone out throughout the island doing muck and guts, tree work. I believe we've done about 118 homes. And then we have done about 350 wellness checks. We did have a couple nurses, mental health nurses, going along the island to the homes as they were doing muck and guts and tree work. And yeah, I definitely see that there's still a need for mental health and definitely for the temporary housing. There's still many people that we have noticed that are still living in unlivable conditions because the muck and guts haven't been done yet, or the storm damage is just very great. There definitely needs to be some temporary houses on the island, not off the island, because everybody here is trying to get back to a sense of normalcy. So that is definitely a need, as well. Additionally, mental health. We would like to have some nurses, some resources for nurses, mental health counselors to come to the island to be able to help everybody cope with the losses that they've gone through. We know that it's always a race in Florida for the storms that come. You never know when it's going to rain. And everybody whose tarps have pulled up, and I know a lot of the tarps that were initially placed, those are being tattered and they're not going to last the entire time. So there will be another push for hopefully getting more tarps on. Unfortunately, due to funding, though, we are not going to be here much longer. We will be pulling out on the 12th. We are looking to other organizations to push any of the tickets that we have remaining with them so that the island is still being taken care of with their needs. So that's about it. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. The Mullet Runners. We have Katie Arnett. Come on up.
Hi. My name is Katie Arnett. I'm with Amy. I'm with the Mullet Runners. We started as an organization. We got here day 3 after the hurricane. We just met kind of by chance, ran into each other as a part of another organization. And after a week that organization left, we decided we couldn't leave all of the people that we had connected with that week, and we stayed on the island, and we're continuing to help the community. We did start a Google survey that asked residents kind of what their needs were, whether or not they needed help volunteer-wise or just kind of someone to talk to, food supplies, supply running. And so far we've helped over 150 homes. We have partnered with the Matlacha Hookers, Greater Pine Island Alliance, to offer help to the island. We're kind of trying to find our role as we go, but most of what we've been doing is volunteer work, clearing out houses, yard debris clearing, and everything like that. If you want to pop in.
I think initially what this volunteer to us began as kind of a search and rescue and a resource guide and a home welfare check and a supply drop and an island evacuation via boat has now kind of evolved into this new phase of how can we help the people now? You know, there's not people that are stranded anymore, ish, but they are. You know, there's plenty of people that are living in homes that are not safe for them. So we're working on a lot of individualized care where we're trying to find homes that need these specific things, and we're addressing those issues directly instead of trying to cover this blanket area. So it will take longer, but we are trying to really focus on every single person that we can help with. And if it's not something that we're capable of doing, we want to find the resources and bring the resources to the people so that they don't feel like they're so alone and they don't have someone there to help them, because a lot of these people they're isolated and they don't have social media. So we're trying to find those people. I'm trying to not cry. We're trying to find those people that need to be found. So we're here for the long run. What's that?
We have a Facebook, the Mullet Runners on Facebook. We have our Google survey pinned. We are running a little low on volunteers, but we have partnered with a lot of the people that are doing the Team Rubicons and the Cajun Navies and the people that have a lot more manpower than we do to make sure that everyone that asks for our help gets our help. With that being said, I think that the biggest needs right now are just a confident stream of information that can be, that has integrity. The information dissemination, the rumor mill has been, very detrimental to rebuilding the island, and just being able to confidently say what is happening on the island and when it is, where it's coming from, when it's happening, is the biggest problem I think we're facing right now.
And I think all of the organizations coming together are on the same page about that. So that's why we're trying to work together and make sure that we're all putting out the same information and all the resources match up. So you're not going to a million different websites to try and find things. And the resource guide that was mentioned earlier, I think is going to be a huge asset as well. Thanks.
The Beacon of Hope. Nancy, are you? You're there. Good. This is Nancy Boothman from the Beacon of Hope.
Yeah, it's funny. The Beacon of Hope started in 2004 after Charlie, and its first name was...
Can you speak up a little bit? Speak a little closer to the mic.
Sorry.
There you go.
It started in 2004 after Charlie, and it was called Pine Island Recovery, Inc. And then a few years later, they decided we need it on the island, so they changed it to Beacon of Hope. So we're in a disaster area again. One of the things that we've been doing, like Aaron mentioned, we have a couple people down there. We have a couple people Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, plus the 2 case managers. And they're not only helping to hook up with the Florida, the one you mentioned, the new one, yeah, where they will help with economic issues. But we've had so many donations that we've been paying rent, utilities, truck repairs. 2 guys lost their tools, and that was their livelihood, and we bought them. It just goes on and on. We've been thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's just a wonderful thing, all the donations that people have done, so we're able to do that. That, and the other thing is, a lot of people come in and say, whatever, my floor is caving in, whatever. And we have to know where to send them and also to get somebody to help. And I think this resource guide that they've built up is going to be a big help for that. We're here, we're going to be here always, so we're kind of long-term. And there's a bunch of stuff we do that I think can help a lot of these people. One is we have a mental health counselor, and I think that's going to be bigger as we go along, and a couple other people in the field that can help. We have transportation to medical appointments and treatments, and that's ongoing. Many of you know Beacon Bites. It's our Meals on Wheels. And before Ian came along, we gave 25 meals out every day. And now, when I started 2 weeks ago, we had down to 5. Now, next week, we'll be up to 9. But if any of you know anybody, disabled, seniors, anybody that needs a meal every day, I wish you would let me know, because we have the capability to do it. We also have a food bank every Saturday morning at 9:30. And the only day it's not going to be on is the 24th, because the food bank will be on Christmas Day. Anybody can come. It's fresh fruits and all kinds of things. And then on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, anybody can come in and get foods from our emergency pantry. So a lot of the homeless will do that, or anybody that needs it. So I think one of the hardest things to do is find, everybody's looking, but it's hard. There's still people out there that need our help, and we don't know how to get it to them. So I think anytime anybody knows anything, you should let somebody know, because I think it's really important. Okay.
The last of our organizations is going to be from the First Baptist Church of Pine Island, Pastor Jim Olson.
In church, I may also want to say, let's grab our Bibles, right? But seriously, the Bible says, blessed are they who dwell in unity. And out of this horrific tragedy, what we have seen as a church is people coming together in unity. And it's been awesome to be a part of the island community for 10 years. This is my wife, Chris. She's the secretary at the church. And that's been an awesome aspect to this whole thing, is to see how people have risen up and how they have loved their neighbor like themselves. Yeah. And it's awesome to see Pine Island people just so giving of themselves. And as a church, we're here to partner with all the organizations on the island, and the Methodist Church here too as well. Thank you for hosting this. But we just want to go over some of the things that we offer and some of the things we have seen. Like everybody has said, we have seen just an outpouring of supplies and finances and people off the island donating so much to the island. It's amazing. We were going to go help this 90-year-old lady put a floor in her home and didn't know where the money was going to come from. And I had a guy show up at the church. He dropped off some resources, and he said, hey, where are you going and what do you need? I said, I'm going to this 90-year-old lady's house to look at taking out a floor and putting in a floor. And he goes, how much do you think that'll cost? And I said, I don't know, it's a little room, maybe $400 or $500. And he reached in his pocket and he had $400 exactly and said, here you go. I don't know who that guy is. He just showed up. We're at the church at the center. And so story after story after story like that all over the island. And so as much of despair as you hear and see, you need to know that there is 10 times as much hope on the island for all that's going on. And God's not done. He has plenty to do. And so all that to say is at the church, we continue to offer supplies from 10 to 2. And if you're in need of hardware like drywall screws or decking screws, Hillman Products has donated over $10,000 of that stuff to the church to distribute. And so a lot of that has gone out already. There was 10 pallets of materials that were delivered. All that's gone out. It's on our pavilion. So if you need roofing vents or anything like that, please stop by. And please just take what you need. But if you want more of the hardware stuff like decking screws, things like that, please come to the church and we'll gladly let you in the room. We're kind of careful because, hey, you got to be a Pine Island resident, number 1. 2 is you can't necessarily be a contractor. 3, we just ask you to take what you need. And so more of that stuff is coming in. Let's see, what else? We've had teams coming in the last 7 to 8 weeks. More teams are coming this week. Teams from all over the country to our little church to serve the community. People who I don't know have contacted us, and we're just hosting them. And they've gone in and done all what the Mullet Runners are doing and what everybody else is doing voluntarily. And by the way, isn't it amazing that people are paying to come to our island to work in these homes? It's amazing. They're using their own resources. And so we need to make sure that we're grateful as we are with that. Another thing is, let's see, what's going on? We have the supplies, we have the materials 10 to 2. What we're doing is hosting teams. We have more teams coming in. And if you're in need of help, each team that comes in, we don't know their capability. And so what we're doing is at our store, we're still continuing to distribute food and things like that that are needed. But if you're in need of help, we would ask that you come to the church, fill out a green form that's in our fellowship hall, And if you're not in a hurry, we'll put that in our bin. And when the teams come, I hand out those green slips. And they're like, oh, I can pull trees out of this yard, which is a huge need. I can clean up that yard of shingles. Or I can start priming that room because they got that done. Or I can rip out that drywall. I can do that. Or maybe it's more skilled work and they can do that work. But so we just ask that you come and fill out those forms, because if you're patient, that work can get done for you as these teams come in. Where we're headed, it's really excited, along with what is it called now? The Pine Island Alliance? Is that Pine Island Alliance? Greater Pine Island Alliance. I'm sorry, I missed one meeting, and the name changes to something so glorious, right? So, anyway, we're excited. We had somebody stop by the church this past week, and we're going to work in conjunction with them. But they're going to be coming. I know it sounds far away, but it's purposeful because they need to make sure that we've exhausted the resources of FEMA and other places. But starting January 30th, there's going to be a group of guys or people coming to the church of about 20 to 50 people to volunteer to start working on the island for people who can't get FEMA money or people that can't afford it. And that's going to be, they have a commitment to us of at least 6 months, and if not up to 3 or 5 years, they said, to continue to work. And so that's really exciting, and they'll be in contact, we'll be in contact with Lowe's and Home Depot and all that to get the supplies donated. And so there's a lot of great work ahead and a lot of great work that's going to happen in due time. Anything else that I missed?
No, I think the exciting thing about this organization that is coming and that we're looking into is they don't muck out houses. They said, this is what we do, we rebuild. Every organization has their lane and they know what they do and they stand in it. And I was driving through St. James City with her and just listening to her on a Zoom call. They're helping in Kentucky, they're helping, and just realizing that there's all these organizations out there that do what we need them to do. And we are not alone out there. They're hearing more and more about our little Pine Island, okay, because we are trying to get out there on Lee County's sites and things like that. And so it'll be exciting to see. And that just is still in the development stages, so we're hoping and praying that that'll all pan out. But hope is what we're feeling at this time right now, that there is help. And we think, like the Mullet Runners did amazing with the mucking out of a lot of places, and we relied on them a lot for different things. So, but that's what we're looking forward to.
And lastly, like all the churches, if you're feeling despair or you need someone just to talk to, we're here for you. And that's not to get you to come to the church or anything like that. We just want to love you for who you are and where you're at. And so if you're just like, man, I'm just so down and depressed and I'm just upset, we would love the opportunity just to talk with you and to pray with you and encourage you. So feel free to, if you see a great truck out there, feel free to stop by the church, or how can they can get in contact with us, right?
Yep, you can leave a message.
All right, that's it.
All right. As well as our island NGOs and small organizations and churches, we also have some people here from government. And as a surprise, it was surprising to me, but we actually have the Director of Emergency Management for the entire state of Florida, who's come here to our meeting tonight. His name is Kevin Guthrie, and I would ask him to stand up and tell us a little bit about what you do and what's up?
So, yeah, you see me on TV. So I was in Brandon, Florida today. I was in Punta Gorda with the governor yesterday, but I'm back here in Pine Island. I got to remember what city and county I'm in. I'm back here in Pine Island tonight, and I'll be here in Fort Myers for the rest of the week, and I'll be in and out over the next 2-3 years to work your disaster. Now, let me start with, first of all, what you guys are doing from a volunteer organization standpoint is fantastic, and let me thank you very much for what you're doing and the service you're doing. Let me tell you right now that next week, somebody from the state of Florida will be here, and they will embed with you, period. All right? Everything that you told me tonight, I wrote down every single thing, and I didn't know anything about it. Now, that's not, that's just to the point of one of these ladies said communication, information, so on and so forth. So until we can get everybody on the same page and we are comfortable with your greater Pine Island Alliance, I'm going to have, if you are okay with it, I'm going to have a visitor come from the state of Florida who's going to plug in with you and help you to my needs page, vet and verify information. All right? You will have a single point of contact that can work with you and work back to the county, work back to the cities, et cetera, to vet and verify information. And that we will keep that here. I may need to give them New Year's Eve, Christmas Day off, but until we get this hammered out and we get things moving, you will have somebody here next week. Okay, that'll happen. So there's that. And until then, I got a guy, right? Everybody's got a guy. And until that person can get here, Fort Myers Beach and Pine Island, I have a liaison on those islands. And until I can get that person here, I know he's going to be okay with this. Glenn Hammers is sitting right over here. I'll make sure that you guys have his number. Glenn, can you stand up real quick? Raise your hand. Glenn will be here. I want to make sure he connects with all of you all for your phone numbers. And until I can get that person here, Glenn is also covering all of Fort Myers Beach, all of Sanibel Island, all of Captiva, probably some other stuff too. He's almost a little me, and I didn't mean that as a short joke, Glenn. He takes care of representing me out here on these islands when I can't be here. So until I can get you a permanent person, Glenn will be that person and help you guys out on vetting, verifying information. So that's the first thing. So let me talk about a couple of things that, I think you said it, ma'am, we have a lot of duplication of effort, and that's exactly what we've got going on. Because, I've got inrecovery.fl.gov. Thanks for saying that. What people probably don't know is with inrecovery.fl.gov comes $25 million in cash and $25 million in labor. And again, if you don't know about that site, and you may have dropped the green card at FBC or FBC Pine Island, or you've dropped something, if you're not in our system, I can't get you help, right? So we want to make sure you get the necessary help you need. So at inrecovery.fl.gov, there's two veins, if you will. There's two buckets. There's two buckets on that website. The first bucket is housing. Gentleman from American Legion made a comment that we got the first person into housing today on Pine Island. That is a direct result of somebody going to inrecovery.fl.gov, right? Did they not get in there today? Okay, so inrecovery.fl.gov, that person went through that site. That is our housing site. And I hate that you may have never heard of this before, but again, on that website, there's two buckets. If you need housing, click on the housing link and go to that. Now let me talk just for a second. I almost need a table here. Let me talk for just a second on what's going to happen when you go to inrecovery.fl.gov and you fill out your application or your notice for housing. What's going to happen there is we're going to ask for your information, your name, address, your phone number, probably, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't looked at that website in a while, but your FEMA registration number, all of that information is going to be there. You may ask why. Why are we asking for that information? Simple situation. Because to qualify for the state's travel trailer program, all right, there's two programs there. Bob will come up and talk a little bit about his program. I'm going to talk about my program. The state's program is a 6-month program, all right? It is not a permanent travel trailer. You don't own it. That travel trailer is owned by the state of Florida. And at 6 months, I'm going to come back and hook that trailer up, and I have to take it away. Now, that is not a state rule. That is not necessarily a FEMA rule. That is just, we have to work within the confines of the actual guidance that's out there, and our program is a 6-month program. And at 6 months, if I want to get reimbursed for it, I've got to take it away, all right? So that is coming. But for people that are living in tents and living in deplorable conditions, 6 months is better in a travel trailer than nothing and staying in the conditions they are. So please know that it's a 6-month program, and we are going to be working with you all to get you into something else, but you also need to be working on rebuilding your structure, repairing your structure, and so on. That's where the second part of the website comes in. So you've got housing. I need a roof over my head. That's one side of the house. The other side of the house is what we call, and you've heard it mentioned, I think 3 out of 7 times out here tonight, is unmet needs. So if you have a muck and gut situation, I'm going to be coming to some of you, I'm going to be coming to you, some of you, Glenn or his relief is going to be coming to some of you. If you're a qualified 501c3 with the ability to pass through funding, we can actually give you the money to go and buy stuff from Lowe's to where you don't have to get it donated, and you guys can do the work, and we'll pay for that. Yeah, if you didn't hear me say that, and we, the Florida Division of Emergency Management, will pay for that program. All right, so we got $25 million to go out and buy materials, and then I have $25 million, and this is all from the First Lady's Fund, the $55 million that she's been raising over the last 2 months. That $25 million is going to be given to organizations like yours, right, to go out and work to get that job, that work done. So if Pastor, there's a couple of you, but wherever he went, right back there. So to house those individuals at your church, we will actually pay you to house those individuals at your church, your volunteers, right? So there are programs that we have available. We're vetting and verifying individuals right now. We have 15 building, like muck and gut type companies, not Window Warriors, the other one. Somebody said it up here tonight, I'm sorry. No, not the American Legion. Team Rubicon, thank you, from over here, Team Rubicon. Team Rubicon is on our vetted verified list. So Team Rubicon will be coming in, but they're gonna need a place to stay and so on. So the money that we have will help place Team Rubicons and other organizations to come in and help do that work, again, for the next however long that $25 million will last. So the things that come with my sites come with a lot of cash as well. So going back to this other bucket, if you need your house gutted, mucked out, you need it to be repaired, then we can do that. The state of Florida can pay a 501c3 to go into your home with your right of entry, your signature right of entry. We must get that. That's something we're going to ask for, is to let these individuals come into your home, rip that out, come in and do up to $5,000 in mold remediation that's paid for by the state of Florida, and up to $5,000 in temporary repairs. So we're going to be looking at studs, drywall, screws, things of that nature to get something done. Are we going to come in and put in white goods? Are we going to come in and put up cabinetry? No. The simple answer to that is no. What we want to do, though, is get you to a situation that we get the mold and the mildew out and get you back into something that's better than what you have now. All right, so that's that side of the program. So again, housing, I need a roof over my head, or B, I have a muck and gut situation that I need. There is a possibility and a very good plausibility that you may need both. You may need the mold and mildew is so bad in your house that you need the temporary trailer while we work on mucking and gutting your house. And that's really what my program is all about. And when I say my program, the 403 temporary sheltering program is all about, is the travel trailer is there to get you out of the harmful situation while we work with volunteer organizations to fix the situation so you can get back in your home. And then we take the travel trailer away. All right? So that's ianrecovery.fl.gov. And I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm going to be as fast as I can here. Ian Debris Cleanup. That is a separate group of individuals. iandebriscleanup.com. On iandebriscleanup.com, what they do there is if you need stuff cleaned up in your yard, we have organizations that will come and do that. You can sign up for that. We'll send somebody out to your house. We will clean that up. FloridadisasterFund.org. If there is anybody philanthropic in the room, I think there's a lot of people in here in needs, but if you're philanthropic or you're, with a news media station and you're taking information, we want to encourage people to continue to go to Florida, I always screw this one up, floridadisasterfund.org. That 55 million, all 55 million of that came through the floridadisasterfund.org. So we want people to continue to go to that website. The First Lady committed to me on the airplane yesterday that she is going to continue to go out there and raise money. She's going to continue to go out and beat the doors down and try to get people to give to this fund. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I can't remember. I know it was in, actually, it was the Chief of Staff for FEMA. It was Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen says there is Volunteer Florida funds, TV commercials running in D.C. So they are doing Volunteer Florida. Josie is running ads all over the United States trying to get people to donate to these causes here. So please know that that's going on. So a couple of things that I want to discuss that were brought up because I want you to hear them from me. Comfort stations. Glad to know that somebody's talking to Lee County about the comfort stations. At the end of the day, those comfort stations are paid for by the Division of Emergency Management. We're the ones that are paying for that. Those are going to be here. However, I cannot leave those out here for the next 5 years. All right? I'm already getting pinged about, okay, Kevin, remember that may not be what's referred to as a Category B emergency protective measure reimbursable by the federal government. And to my very dear friends in the federal government, they are absolutely correct, right? At some point in time, those are no longer going to be considered reimbursable federal expenses, and to that point, we need to start showing good faith on that we're drawing down and people are getting back on their feet and so on. I'm not going to take those comfort stations. I had a conversation with Sandra Tapfumene yesterday, who is y'all's local EM director, and I told her, I said, Sandra, I'm not going to take those out of here. Everybody keeps saying, well, at the end of 75 days, when the FEMA 100% finishes up, you're going to take all of that stuff out of here. That is not the case. I will stand in front of you today and say, I'm not going to take it out of here on December the 7th. It is not leaving on December the 7th. But we do need to have some type of glide path of how we get back to normal. So is that January, February, March, April? I don't know. I'm not going to put a date on it. I'm not going to put a time certain on it. But we do need to start moving towards a path of getting things back to people back into their houses with running water and washing machines and things of that nature. So next, I talked about the muck and gut volunteers. I already mentioned that I'm going to make sure that we get a volunteer liaison here with you all. Just want to make sure I cover everything. I know that it's going to come up, and I don't want Bob to have to handle this question, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it myself. How many in here have a question about the 50% rule?
50%.
Okay, all right. So that is not Bob's question, that's my question. Okay, so I'm going to relieve Bob from having to handle that. So the 50% rule is a Florida state statute. Okay, it is in Florida law. It is part of what's referred to as the Florida Building Code. Florida Building Code is attached to floodplains, all right? And it says, this is a law that went into effect in 2004 as a result of Hurricane Andrew from 1992. It went into effect in the Miami-Dade law in 1996, and it evolved to come into law in the state of Florida in 2004. But it says that when you have a home that is destroyed by a disaster or any other peril, that if it is more than 50% damaged, it must be rebuilt to the Florida Building Code. Now, the question has come up because attorneys get involved. What does 50% mean? And that is a very complicated answer. And that very complicated answer is answered by your Board of County Commissions. All right? So it is in Florida law. It is loosely attached, or I shouldn't say loosely, it is attached to the National Flood Insurance policies put in place by FEMA. But at the end of the day, what is 50% is defined by your local Board of County Commission. And then if you live in a city, if you happen to be here and you live in a city like Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and so on, then your city council defines what that 50% is. Now, loosely, so I'm going to try to simplify this to the best of my ability right now. And I've actually asked my floodplain managers and my building code folks to try to create a worksheet, which literally is a fill-in-the-blank worksheet. So the question I'll just start with unincorporated Lee County. If unincorporated Lee County has said that to determine the 50% rule, you're going to use the appraised value on the Lee PA website, the Lee Property Appraisers website, then you have to take that appraised value, whatever is on that tax record, you plug it in there. You divide it in half, that is 50%. If it costs you more than that number to rebuild your home, to repair your home, then you must comply with the new Florida Building Code. There is a nasty rumor running around right now in the ether, in the unvetted, unverified social realm, that horrible realm that it is, that says, oh, but if you phase it and you never exceed that dollar amount in one single time, then you can just phase it over time. You can put it in 4, 5, 6, 10 phases. That is absolutely incorrect. 100% incorrect. You're hearing it from the horse's mouth or some other mouth, but you're hearing it from me. That is incorrect. It is 50% of the value. Now, there are some, and I believe, and I will say this, unvetted, unverified if there's a news media in here at all, but I believe, for instance, Cape Coral has said that they are going to add like a 20% adjustment to that. So let's say, because I don't know what each individual city and county is doing, but if they say, again, for unincorporated Lee County, they say it's, property appraisers assess value. You go then plus 20%, figure out what that is. So if it's a $100,000 home appraised, you add 20%, $120,000, and then you divide it in two and $60,000. So if you spend $60,000 and 1 penny, you must comply with the Florida Building Code. So I hope that makes sense to people, and that may break it down a little bit easier for everybody to understand. But it is, please understand, it is Florida state statute. It is Florida Building Code 2004. It is related loosely, if you will, to the National Flood plains and the National Flood Insurance, et cetera, et cetera. But the decision as to what 50% is defined by every local jurisdiction having authority. So if you live in a city, it's a city. If you live in the county, it's a county. And they will tell you what that number is. They may say take the appraised value. They may say take the market value. They may say take a X value, whatever that value is. But whatever that is the first number you got to put on your ledger at home when you're trying to figure out what that number is. Then is there any plus minus cost percentage? 10, 20, 30%, whatever that's going to be. You add those two together, you divide it in half, and whatever that number is, if your repair is more than that number, that bottom number, that's the 50% rule. I hope that helps people in this room tonight. I hope that I've tried to just make it a little more simple and you understand it. If it did, then I'm great. If didn't, then get with Glenn Hammers after I leave. Just kidding. All right? Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and speak.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, we've had a whole lot of new information that's come to us just now. And I think it's pretty incredible that these state resources are out there and that we could tap into them. And in fact, that we didn't know about a lot of the resources that are there. So thank you very much for coming and giving us this information. What I'd like to do now, even though we have other officials that would like to speak to you, I would like you, the audience, to be able to come up and ask your questions or tell your stories or say what you think the island needs right now. And the microphone is right there, so you can do that. I do want to say that we have many people here from FEMA who came tonight to listen to your needs, listen to your questions, and maybe answer some of your questions. We also have someone from the Small Business Administration. Tahita Mateen is here. and she would be able to answer business-related questions. FEMA people, as I understand, are also even able to work with individuals if you want to sign up for something that FEMA can provide, and that they can do that after the meeting right here in the lobby. So I'd like to invite anyone from the audience who would like to come on up, and you can actually line up there if you want to, so we know who's when. And you might represent an organization, or you might represent yourself. Yeah, feel free. Thank you. And introduce yourself.
My name is Doug Guy. I live up on Tortuga Street. And my question or problem is for FEMA. How can an inspector reject my application because he said he called me 3 times, 3 different days at 3 different times? Now, my phone works perfect, and it's within hand's reach. We have never received a call from a FEMA inspector. We got a letter saying we were rejected because of it, so we went back into the tent, and they put us back on the list, and now I'm going in there every 5 or 6 days to make sure we're not rejected again. But I don't understand how an inspector could call me 3 times. We never got a call. No text, no message, nothing. And I'm not the only one it's happened to. That's my problem.
Okay, thank you. And I don't necessarily expect that FEMA individuals will respond to this right away, but if you all would listen to what people have to say, and then maybe later, you can address some of these issues. This is an issue of communication. It is a huge issue, and it is so frustrating for people who have to live in deplorable conditions. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Marion Horgan. I live in Flamingo Bay, and my house was totally destroyed in the hurricane. Recently had to have it torn down, but I did have insurance, and because of that, I didn't qualify for FEMA assistance. And I got that rejection very early on, maybe 3-4 weeks after the storm. Imagine my surprise when last week I looked at my checking account and there was $13,445 that had been deposited by FEMA in my account at the same time that they emailed me a letter. The gist of the letter was, here's money to help you, but, and here's the but, and if you get unexpected money from FEMA, you need to read the correspondence, and that's the purpose of my telling you this. You need to read what the letter says. The but is, if you accept this money, you are agreeing that you will forever carry flood insurance on this home. Not only that, you are obligating subsequent owners of this property to carry flood insurance on this property. So before you spend that money, think hard about that, whether that's a program that you want to enter into, because I believe we should have a choice on whether we go out and purchase any kind of insurance. It should be our choice in my mind. If you don't want to agree to this, you must return this money to us, which I promptly did. 3 years worth of flood insurance premiums would eat up more than that $13,000 in my mind. And this could be something that could negatively affect me in the event I ever do want to sell the new home that I'm going to build on the property. So beware, just beware.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Hi, my name is Debbie Memley. I just have a quick question. You were talking about the debris removal, and I went on that website the other day, and I was just curious to see, I know on there it said that you would bill the insurance company directly. So I was just wondering, how would we find out how much you would bill them?
Come on up, Kevin, to the mic so we can all hear you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Mike Mann. So I'm actually glad you mentioned that because I was supposed to say that earlier. Number one, what is referred to as reasonable and customary in the insurance industry to charge for a haul away of that nature is 73 cents a square foot. So if your structure was 1,000 square feet, then we are going to attempt to bill your insurance company $730. Now, you will not get debris picked up today for $730 by anybody, all right? I'm not trying to put the state of Florida into business, but you will not get all your debris picked up on your property for $730 on a 1,000 square foot house. All you got to do is take your square footage of your residence and multiply it times 0.73, and that's the number that we're going to attempt, again, to bill your insurance. We will never bill you. You're not going to give a bill from the state of Florida. But for me to get reimbursed by FEMA down the road, I have to show good faith intent to recover that another way. So if you're also in a situation like I believe the lady that just came up before you that said her entire house was demolished, and now she's got, let's say, the house to take away, it's a 2,000 square foot house. Let's say that, just for grins and giggles, that's $1,460 that we will attempt to get back from the insurance company. We will also, for the slab that is there, the slab, reasonable and customary through the insurance market, is $6 a square foot on a slab to actually pick up the entire slab, demo it, and move it out, and do any type of asbestos work or anything like that. So with that being said, that's $6 a square foot. That's a much more expensive number, but again, none of you will ever get a bill from the state of Florida. We will attempt to reconcile that with your insurance company. If the insurance company sends us a denial letter, that's good enough for us. We will then file that with the Federal Emergency Management Agency and seek reimbursement that way. So there's that. There's one other big thing that I missed on my example up here with the 50% rule, and I thank my team and Bob for correcting me. It is the structure. It's the value of the structure. It is not the value of the property, it's the value of the structure. So that was a big piece that was missing, I get it, and thanks for everybody correcting me, but it's the value of the structure. It does not include fences, it doesn't include sheds, any of that nature. It is the value of the structure. Thank you.
Okay.
Commercial property is a different qualification program, and the short answer to that is no. Commercial properties require us to get an approval from FEMA in advance of removing that, and if you have insurance, you're probably going to get a denial, if that makes sense. So we want you to, as a commercial property owner, we want you going down that path immediately. Okay?
Okay, the next person to step up to the mic.
Good evening. My name is Mike Halligan. I live in St. James City. I have two questions, or two comments. One is about FEMA. My wife went to the tent and applied to FEMA, and we got a letter saying that we don't qualify for anything. Doesn't say why, doesn't say anything. So I'd like to know why they don't give us an explanation why we don't qualify. The second thing is for Lee County, the building department. I'm hearing that permits are taking a really, really long time, and we've got damage here that needs to be addressed immediately. I can do repairs on my damage to get my house dried in and get a roof on, or at least the peel and stick paper to get it dried in and rebuild the wall that came down. My third floor came off my house. And I looked online to get the permit, and I want to do it as a homeowner. I have to get an architect and have drawings, and even if they're 8.5 by 11, and that's just ridiculous. I can do it myself. I have the original plans. They're not stamped. They're not sealed. I can take them, make a photocopy, and circle the area that I want to fix. I'm going to fix it comparable to what I was going to do, what I did have, except I'm going to make, instead of 2x4 framing, I want to make 2x6s. I want to know from Lee County if they can speed up that process and why I have to jump through so many hoops. Thank you.
Okay. Hold on just a second. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Okay. A FEMA representative could answer that last question.
Yeah, if you're going to ask questions, I mean, I think
So
we'd
let's
like
go
to try
ahead.
to answer your questions. So your question about a denial letter, thanks. Your question about a denial letter could be a number of different things, right? So, and our letters are not great, and I'll admit that. And first of all, I wanna just say, too, you are living in a phenomenal state with a great governor and a Kevin Guthrie. So I want to say that. The denial letter process could be a number of things. If you had insurance, as a taxpayer, the taxpayers have made it clear, the federal government is the last payer of any resort. We're going to look to an insurance company. We're going to look to a local, a community, a county, the state, and what kind of programs exist. If you had insurance, it kind of stops things. You can appeal it, and if the insurance company, if you didn't have flood insurance, if you didn't have home insurance, you move through the process. If you had one of those types of insurance, we're going to wait to see what the insurance company says. If they say, guess what, you're denied, and the state is, I know that Kevin and his team is getting after these insurance companies to get those denial letters because you're stalled in the FEMA process until you get that denial letter, unfortunately. If you get a denial letter, then you can go through the process and we can look at the other things you may be eligible for, right? In this county alone, in Pine Island, there have been 4,382 registrations to date. We have put out $19,118,000 onto Pine Island for recovery. About 15 million of that is 15.8 million is to people on Pine Island, residents of Pine Island, for homeowners assistance for repairs. So those are some of those checks you're talking about. Other needs assessment has been 3.2 million, and then there's 2.3 million in rental assistance. We know there's not a lot of rental assistance on this island. So we do have staff here that can go into your individual case tonight as well as intent and figure out why you're stuck, why you got that letter, and to help you figure out how to appeal it. And sometimes it's just a handwritten note saying, I got a problem, what's going on, right? And we know the 1-800 number is not as good. So that may be what's going on in your case in terms of the denial. It may also be something else. I can also tell you honestly, and this is a challenge for every disaster, up to 40% or more of the applications we're receiving are fraud. And you know what the net effect of fraud is? It slows it down. And you know that a lot of companies have had Social Security numbers stolen for years. People are applying in other people's Social Security numbers, so there's a lot of stalls for that, and that's why we're asking for additional information, copies of power bills. So those inspections you're calling, a lot of folks are not receiving, they're receiving a call. Sounds like you're looking at your phone, and that's awesome. A lot of folks are seeing a call, and they're elderly, and they're concerned about fraud. And they see a California number or a New Mexico number, delete. Guess what? If that was an inspector trying to call you, because we have contractors coming from all over the entire country. We are hiring thousands of inspectors. We've done over 40,000 inspections at this point. So we have to use contractors to do that. If you don't receive that call or don't take that call or schedule it, they'll try 3 times and then you are stalled. So I don't know what your specific case is, but it could be a lot of those types of things.
All right, thank you.
I heard your answer, and I heard that if you have insurance, you don't qualify for FEMA.
That is not correct. That's not what I said.
Okay.
I said if you have, the first thing we're going to see is if your insurance company is going to help you.
Okay.
If your insurance company does not, do you have flood insurance or home insurance? Or both?
I have everything.
You have flood insurance. So
I have it all.
You have it all. So that's a good thing, except flood insurance hasn't paid out yet. Have they given you anything in flood insurance?
Yeah.
Okay, so flood insurance pay out, then we look at what, and that's what the inspector does to try to figure out, and he doesn't care what your insurance company, or she, doesn't care what your insurance company has paid you, or doesn't care per se, they're just looking at what the damages are, and they will make a determination of how much you have in damages, and if your insurance company doesn't cover all of it, they will look to see if they can provide additional assistance at that point, depending on your situation.
And my follow-up to that is I never saw a FEMA inspector come to my house.
Yeah.
Before they denied me. And the third thing is,
So,
I know
where do you live on the island?
in St. James City.
Okay, some of it, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical inspection. Some of them are done by Google Earth, and if we know that you're in an area of this island that's been catastrophically hit, and most of St. James City is, it may be they just automatically gave you the max benefit.
Oh, they didn't give me anything.
So that's,
They gave me zero.
You'd need to go back, and we could talk to you afterwards. You pull up your index case, see what the status is, see what the insurance did pay out, and try to figure out if you're eligible for additional benefits. So, and if you get the denial letter, sometimes I always tell people, read it and tell us your situation, because a lot of people's situations change. My little acronym is TAR, and if you don't pay attention to TAR, you're in deep doo-doo, which means T is tell us, your status changed. I was sleeping on somebody's couch, and they don't want me on their couch anymore. Guess what? You're not eligible because you told us you're sleeping on somebody's couch, and if you told us you're sleeping on somebody's couch, you're safe.
Would it make a difference if
Okay.
I could stay in
Sir,
my house?
I'm going to have to cut this
We talk
short
later.
because if we get too much into individual questions and individual stories, then everybody else is going to kind of zone out. So what I'd like to see is people with individual questions snag these FEMA representatives after the meeting is over and ask those questions.
And I'm going to send my staff here right now to the back, so anybody that wants to talk to Denise, Tylon, or Penny
Yes,
can
please
take individual
stand up
classes.
if you are a FEMA representative. Stand up if you are. Where are they? There they are.
Those are the folks that answer your case questions.
All right, great.
Thank you.
So what's going to help us is if you have a broader question, for the island, go ahead.
My name is Mark Barrett. I'm a St. James City resident over 35
Can
years. What
yeah,
I'm
there you go.
looking to find out is everything has to be done over the internet, correct? CenturyLink, there's no answer from CenturyLink. Nobody seems to be able to say anything or give you an answer. If you're doing stuff over the internet and you can't hotspot your phone to the
Right.
computer or get on the computer, then you have to rely on the folks that have Starlink. Like you go to the post office,
I have
you go
phone
up to
numbers.
Winn-Dixie.
I have phone numbers.
You have what?
I have phone numbers.
For what?
You want phone numbers?
Phone
Phone
numbers
numbers
for
for
what?
inrecovery.fl.gov. And Glenn's going to write these down on a sheet of paper and give them to you as soon as I say them out loud, okay? For inrecovery.fl.gov, that is the two-bucket system. That is the temporary housing system, and that is the I need other stuff to include muck and guts. That phone number is 1-800-892. Hey, sir, look at me.
That.
Glenn, this guy right here is going to write that down for you.
Okay. So are we going to get internet again down here
I
in
don't-
St. James City, ever? Is CenturyLink coming back?
All right, I can't answer for CenturyLink because I'm not CenturyLink, but I'm trying to give you an opportunity or give you what you need to be successful
Okay,
at
I'm not
getting your
going to
house
be able
done.
to memorize that, I'm sorry.
He's going to write it down. Right.
Okay, all right. Okay,
1-800-892-0948.
okay.
For Ian debris cleanup, that number is 850-961-2002. You can call one of those two numbers, and we have live agents standing by 7 days a week, right, Kelly? 7 days a week, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Have you sat on hold?
Sir, I have not. I've been.
I could
Okay.
live a lifetime.
All right, let me help you solve your problems. Come right on over here. If I need to get you on the phone with somebody tonight, I'll do that. How's that sound?
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Walsh. My husband is the president of the Matlacha Civic Association, and I'm one of the board members there. So I just have two general questions, overall questions about MCA. We haven't seen mass debris removal for quite a while now. I've been back at least 7 days since my last business trip, and I haven't seen debris removal come through. So we're very concerned about that, and some of the piles are halfway up the telephone poles. It's becoming an untenable situation there. I see some of my Matlacha residents here. So we'd like to know what's going to be done about that. And then secondly, and this might be a FEMA issue that you might want to address in the future, there is a lot of angst in Matlacha because many of us were denied the ability to raise our homes in the past to prevent this catastrophic damage because the Matlacha or the Historical Review Committee decided that that was against their will, and so now we have no town left. And we're very upset about that. And their heads are being called for on a platter, quite frankly, and I understand why. Now, my husband fought them 5 times and won because my husband is a pit bull. But if you're not as tenacious and you're not a lawyer, your home is gone because they wouldn't let you raise it. So if you could address those, I'd really appreciate it. By the way, thanks to everyone. I used the washers the other day, fantastic service. Everything that you guys have done to help us is greatly appreciated, but those are my 2 broad questions.
You're welcome. So the first thing that I will mention, is there anybody in the room from Lee County government?
Unfortunately, no.
So here,
We
to the debris issue.
We invited them,
So
but they didn't show up.
To the debris issue, you all need to call your local county government tomorrow. They are in charge of picking up your debris. The vendor is a company called Crowder Golf, all right? So you need to call and ask them and say, we've got debris piled up, but they've also here. So every bit of debris on Pine Island is handled by Crowder Golf. Whether it's private property, commercial property, or right-of-way, they have it all. It's one vendor, only one vendor, it's Crowder Golf, it's Lee County that will do that. So you need to call your county government tomorrow and let them know that. On the other issue related to the historic situation, yeah, I don't know what to do on that. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm one of those guys, I'm not a politician. If I got bad news for you, I'm going to tell you I got bad news. I think I got bad news there. I just, that was a local agency or a local decision that was made some time ago. It wasn't the right thing to do back then. Leave it as historical versus raising it. I think you'd probably find every individual in this room that works in federal, local, or state government say that it should have been raised. But it wasn't for whatever reason, so I do truly apologize on behalf of government for that decision.
Yeah, but, I just want to add, I have learned recently, Matlacha Historic District has 126 residential and commercial units. Of these, about 47 are either gone or totally destroyed. 43 have major damage that may not be repairable. That's 72% of the historic district. So people are asking, so where is the historic district, and why do we still have to abide by the rules of the historic district? Because the history is underwater. The Historic Preservation Board has been meeting in St. James City. They've had a couple of meetings. You can go there. A lot of people from Matlacha have showed up. A lot of angry people from Matlacha have been asking questions there. They're the body to talk to about what's going to happen. Everybody wants to know that, not just people who live in Matlacha. We all want Matlacha to come back. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Amanda Johnson, and I am a volunteer, a community advocate, and I was very fortunate to be able to work with many residents doing humanitarian checks. We have many other volunteers that do that as well, but I had noticed when I was out there that there weren't any resources readily available to tell the residents where to go. So I was also fortunate to be invited by the Matlacha Hookers to go to the Pine Island Cares meeting that they had and presented this resource guide that they are able to now disseminate through their different organizations. But I used this one right here, which is much more comprehensive, and it has many, many more resources available to residents when I go to the humanitarian checks. Many of the questions that were asked in terms of FEMA application stuff, we actually have the St. Bernard Project that are experts at doing FEMA appeals. They have been included in this resource guide. We have also many others that are for insurance advocates that are included in this resource guide. And this was all put together by volunteers all over the United States because they all care about what's going on here in Pine Island. We might feel like we're ignored in Greater Pine Island, but we're not. My uncle is a resident here. His name is Bob Reed. He's lived here for over 23 years. He was present for the surge on Blueberry Lane. So that is how I knew what happened, okay? I got in my van, came out as soon as I could. He got rescued by an awesome citizen captain, and I didn't have to worry about that part as much, so I waited until afterwards. But being able to find the residents falling through the cracks, that has been the goal of being able to put together resource guides. So Pine Island Cares has their resource guides available at all of these locations, like the Beacon of Hope, the American Legion, and such. And theirs is a shorter version. It's for more internet-based, if you want one, because you do not have internet. That is much more comprehensive. I have them with me here today, and I bring them with me on humanitarian checks and make them available online. Now, I'm a music educator, so I'm gonna ask you guys to do something for me, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do a call, and I'm gonna ask you to do a response, okay? Kind of, you go, GPI, resource guide, .us, GPI, resource guide, .us.
GPI, resource guide, .us.
Cool, thank you so much.
Hello.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, I live in a 5-foot world. My name is Isla Valkersel, and I am a palm tree farmer out here on Pine Island. Been here for 27 years. And when the water surge came and it went over our farm, we lost a lot of our soil, and things just kind of went everywhere. And all the mulch and things that we put down just floated away. So my question or inquiry is, I see this huge mound of mulch down in the cow field, and I know that FEMA's gonna haul that stuff off up to Port Charlotte or wherever. There are a lot of palm tree farms and other farms out, fruit farms and stuff out here on Pine Island that could really, really benefit from having that mulch brought to their properties so that they can replenish the topsoil and stuff that got removed. Is that possible to have that done?
So the short answer is maybe. I do know, and again, I'm not a politician. I'll be 100% transparent with you. There is a clause or a phrase inside of this massive book called the Public Assistance Policy Procedure Guide that does allow for recycling of vegetative debris. I don't know enough about it, but I got a guy. It's not this guy, it's a different guy.
I need
or it's
that
actually
guy.
a girl. But I need to get with my debris team and check into that and see if that's possible. If that's possible, then this girl will end up getting with that team and seeing if we can solve that problem. Okay? So
Okay.
the answer is a maybe. It's a definite 100% maybe. It's
Okay.
not a yes, it's not a no. All right?
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Scott Zilch. I'm the post commander for the VFW on the island. I have worked one-on-one with many people in the room here and many people that I don't know. And I'm really grateful for tonight to be able to get the new resources available to us to be able to help our communities. And I thank Aaron for pushing me to become a part of this. Thank you, Aaron.
Hi, I'm Gary Ruckstall. I live down in St. James City. And only because there was talk of feedback and we talked about the 50% rule. But yet, I had no water in my house. I have a little bit of siding damage. I'm gonna need a roof. My insurance company says I have 80% of my value, so my house is gone. Okay, now I've already spent thousands of dollars to put the tarp on my roof, new ducts, new air conditioning underneath, because that did get flooded. But now, they don't tell you what that is. And my point is that maybe all these wonderful organizations that are here, if you get the channel to talk to Lee County, they're the ones that need to be here. Because even though they send it, I still don't know if I need to be 9 feet. Do I need to be 10 feet? I have an elevation certificate for 9 feet that I've sent in 3 times to my insurance company, and they still show me at 0 feet. okay? That was before the hurricane even. But the fact is, we don't hear from them. From what I've heard last, they were still going to have a meeting about what the rebuild has to be. But many people I have seen working on their houses, and how do we know if we need to rebuild? So I know you don't have an answer, and I don't expect that. But if you say you want to hear one of the problems is, my whole street, half of them are trying to rebuild their houses. And I know that they've got more than 80% worth of damage in them. What do? In the meantime, they've all invested. They've got new flooring. They've got people, ants, climbing over their houses, doing all this work. And is it for naught? Lee County needs to find a way to get to us.
Yep. Yes, sir. And I promise you, I speak with Lee County almost daily, and all of the information that I'm taking down, I've got one note taker here, one note taker that's actually getting cards with all those phone numbers. So he actually has some handbills to hand out. He's going to make those available in a foyer later. And myself, we've probably got, between the three of us, about 7 pages of notes. But I will download all of this information with Lee County tomorrow with my counterpart, Sandra Tepfumene.
Thank you, Kevin.
Sue DeHode, I live in Bokeelia. I guess first off, I would like to echo the previous gentleman's comments about Lee County and decision-making and information. I think most of the permitting is going to go through Lee County, as well as all these questions people have, and I don't see a whole lot of answers. The second question, I guess, or maybe rumor dispelling I might ask for is from the FEMA representatives. I've heard repeatedly that due to some issue related, and this is social media, so I know for what it's worth, but that due to some restrictions, that FEMA will never authorize trailers for Pine Island because we're in a floodplain. Could you speak to that, or somebody speak to that?
So I'm going to, Bob and myself, this is our first disaster together, but the reason I'm going to take this question first is, Lord knows that I'll beat up on FEMA when I need to beat up on FEMA, but this is one of those situations that I'll start with. This is, again, we have to go back to the Florida Building Code, right? So the Florida Building Code does state that we cannot put a travel trailer or a recreational vehicle or a mobile home unit in what's referred to as the floodway. It's not the floodplain, there's two different things. Floodway, floodplain. Now, I licensed in, by my signature yesterday, a trailer that's in an AE zone. All right, so we put a travel trailer in a floodplain yesterday. And we are going to put travel trailers in floodplains. Well, again, we put one. We put one because only one person's requested it. All right, that's why we got to go to that website. Okay, so we did put a travel trailer in a floodplain, and we will put them in a floodplain, but it's a temporary solution, right? So because it's temporary, allows me and the governor to waive Florida code to put that travel trailer into a floodplain, but law prohibits us from putting it in the floodway. All right? So for instance, a floodway may be more applicable in this situation, just for visuals, about the homes right on the edge of the roadway in Matlacha. Many of those homes are most likely, if you were to look at it, in the floodway, not in the floodplain. All right? So there's a lot of science to unpack there, but at the end of the day, I do, and the governor does, have the ability to waive and put trailers into a floodplain, but we cannot put them into a floodway. So that's for my program. On his program, I still, as the state representative, have to sign off on putting those trailers in the floodplain. So myself and the governor are committed to we did it in Hurricane Irma, thank you. We did it in Hurricane Irma, we're going to do it here. But the determining factor is going to be the floodway. And there are some houses here that are very, very low elevation. And I'm not just saying Pine Island, I'm talking about all across the barrier islands. There are some people that are in a very, very low elevation, which may be deemed the floodway, not the floodplain. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sue and Kevin. Yeah, I think we have one more, and you're one more person.
I'll be quick. Hi, my name is Pastor Michelle. I'm the pastor at Pine Island Community Church. I just wanted to let you know we do have food pantry there, food and pet pantry. If you need pet food or food at all, we get a fresh bread from Publix every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, so we're there for you for that. We also have a thrift store that has all kinds of clothing. I know right after the hurricane happened, we opened up our bays and just said, if you need stuff, get it. So people got clean shoes, clothes, whatever you may need. Also, if you have furniture you would like to donate, you want to get rid of on Wednesdays, we come out and pick up furniture, and we can drop off furniture if you bought anything, but we just want to be there for you. So thank you. It's been a real pleasure. I just love Pine Island. I moved here September 20th. So yes, and I have to tell you, I love Florida and I love Pine Island, so thank you.
Oh, yeah, I guess we have a couple more. Oh, yeah, wait a second, Sherry, there's one here.
I just have a short question. How about we get our electrical lines underground now? We could put a man on the moon, but we cannot put those lines underground, and that's ridiculous. We have to be without electricity for more than 3 weeks. And that would be perfect this occasion to show that we need them underground.
So I'll take that one too. Are y'all are you LCEC or FPL here? Yeah, so LCEC, there is a program that, and again, I don't know what LCEC is going to do. If LCEC defined what they did as emergency permanent or emergency temporary work, in other words, stringing lines, then that is covered under a program that FEMA reimburses. And then if they will come back and do a permanent, what's referred to as a permanent work project, and bury those underground, that would be actually covered by FEMA at 75%. So, but that is a LCEC decision. So you all need to call LCEC and let them know that you want them to bury. That I can't solve. I cannot solve that one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I am going to allow two more questions and comments, but then it's after 8 o'clock, and I think we're all pretty tired. So go ahead, Sherry.
I'm Sherry Perkins from St. James City, and I just know that several of you have said you have all these resource guides. I'm wondering if there's the possibility that the people who hold these resource guides could take them. Is Paulette here?
No, Paulette's not here tonight.
If Paulette, the editor of the Eagle, could take those, assemble them, make one resource guide, and put it in the Eagle so it goes to everybody.
Yeah. So Paulette may be with us online. She often is when she can't be here in person. Okay, last person.
That's really not in reference to what we're doing.
We can't hear you.
Oh, okay. This really isn't in reference to what we're talking about tonight, but I saw a person in this room that has recently done something very, very, very nice for me, and I wanted everybody to realize that the people that serve us on the island really do care about us. And I'm talking about our chief of the fire department, Ben Ekelek. Stand up.
No.
And while you're clapping for him because I was in distress. I had a tree growing outside my window, my bathroom window, and every time the breeze came, I could see it coming through my window and just wrapping itself around my neck and taking me out. And I tried to find people that would help me, but I couldn't. So I called the fire department. Do you know that the chief showed up and took that tree down for me? So that, to me, that's what Pine Island is all about. It's we serve each other and take care of each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's a great way to end. And I'd like to invite people who have individual questions for the FEMA people, the Small Business Administration, all of these organizations, to meet them in the lobby for as long as they can stay. And we're going to have our next meeting probably on the 10th of January, not on the first Tuesday, it's too close to the holidays. But I'd like a motion to adjourn us tonight. I hope we could drag them here. We'll look into that. We'll see if we can drag them here. A motion to adjourn, Sue? All right, so moved. Second? Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor? Raise your hand. All right. See you in January.